Want to speak real English from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at EnglishClass101.com.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Today I'm going to talk about two words, yet and already, and the difference between the two. I'm also going to explain some nuances of a few question patterns you might hear these words used in. So let's get started. First, let's look at the word yet. Yet. We use the word yet for actions that we expect to occur, something we think is probably going to happen. We have an expectation for this action. This can mean like daily activities like taking a shower, brushing your teeth. It can mean something at work like sending a file or attending a meeting. So depending on your situation, this is just a specific action that is expected to occur. We use yet for actions that have not happened when we're making statements. For example, I haven't done my homework yet. I haven't done my homework yet. Here we see yet at the end of this sentence. We also use yet in questions about the action. So meaning, is it finished? Is it not finished? Has it been completed? Has it not been completed? For example, have you done your homework yet? Yet. You'll notice that we're using the present perfect. I haven't done my homework. Have you done your homework yet? We use yet because of this expectation, meaning up until now, up until this point in time, has the action been completed? This is the reason we use haven't and have in the case of these example sentences. So remember, yet is for an action that has not happened, but we expect will happen. It falls at the end of a sentence. You'll notice here, yet comes at the end of both of these sentences. If you see it in a different location, like for example before the verb, it's increasingly rare in modern American English, but you might see it in older texts specifically. It's going to sound formal and quite out of date if you use this now. So please use yet at the end of your sentence. Okay, let's move on to already. Already. We use already, again, like with yet, for an action which we expect to occur, some action that is expected to occur. This word, however, is used for an action that has happened. So when we're making statements, this is for an action that has happened. For example, I've already done my homework. I've already done my homework. Here's the positive sentence. I use the negative, I haven't done my homework yet here. Here I've used I've already done my homework. For questions about the action, whether the action has been completed or not, we can also use already. For example, have you already done your homework? Have you already done your homework? Here I used yet. Have you done your homework yet? So you'll see yet falls at the end of the sentence, but already comes before the verb. So I've already done my homework. Have you already done your homework? Already comes before the verb. You can use already at the end of a sentence, although. Have you already done your homework can become have you done your homework already? Both are fine. So it's up to you to choose. Now, knowing this basic information about when to use yet and already, let's look at a few sentences that use these words, and some which do not, and take a look at the difference in nuance. So these are actually all questions. These are all questions, fairly common questions, but there are some subtle differences, some small differences in nuance that I think it's important to be aware of. Let's look at the first one. Here. Have you eaten lunch yet? This is a confirmation question. Is the action finished or not? Have you eaten lunch yet? Here we see yet at the end of the sentence. The nuance here, like I said, it's a confirmation question. Yes or no? Is the action finished or not finished? In this case, the speaker thinks the listener has not completed the action, or the speaker imagines the listener, there's a chance the listener has not, in this case, eaten lunch yet. They imagine this. It's a guess, though. That's why it's a question. It's in the question form. Have you eaten lunch yet? Let's look at a similar sentence, though. Have you already eaten lunch, or have you eaten lunch already? Here, again, it's a confirmation question, but the speaker is using already. So, the speaker guesses maybe the listener has completed the action. The action is maybe finished. So there's a very small difference between these two. In this case, maybe the speaker wants to invite the listener for lunch, or the speaker wants to ask something of the listener. Here, however, the speaker is guessing that lunch is finished for the listener. So maybe it's a different situation. So there's a small difference in nuance between these two. Let's look at a slightly different pair. You've already eaten lunch versus you haven't eaten lunch yet. I've finished these sentences with a very casual punctuation mark, a question mark and an exclamation point. This is just to emphasize surprise, so you shouldn't use two punctuation marks in your formal writing. But for this exercise, I included it. So here, you've already eaten lunch and you haven't eaten lunch yet. These two are used to express surprise. So here, this is not a confirmation question. It begins with you've already. These are questions which express surprise or disbelief. So in this case, surprise, because the action happened sooner than expected. So someone eats lunch at maybe 10:30 in the morning, for example. The speaker says, you've already eaten lunch. The action happened sooner than expected by the speaker in this case. Let's look here though, the opposite. You haven't eaten lunch yet? Here, there's the same element of surprise that's being communicated, but there's an expectation the action is going to happen. The speaker is surprised, actually, that the listener has not completed the action yet. The surprise is because the action is not finished, has not been completed, but there's an expectation the action is going to happen in the future. So for example, it's, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the speaker says, you haven't eaten lunch yet? So you imagine, as the speaker, the listener is going to eat lunch, but you're surprised the listener has not eaten. Okay. Then let's look at a couple different grammar points. Here, you haven't eaten lunch. You haven't eaten lunch. Here, this is almost identical to the previous sentence. The only difference is the word yet is missing. There's no yet here, just you haven't eaten lunch. This is just a simple expression of surprise. So there's still a chance. We see this nuance is communicated through the present perfect tense. You haven't eaten lunch, so meaning up until this point in time, you didn't or you haven't eaten lunch. You don't have the experience yet. So it sounds like there's still a chance here, but yet is not included. So maybe that emphasis of expectation is missing in this sentence. This is just a very simple kind of basic way to confirm. Finally, let's change this from present perfect here to simple past. You didn't eat lunch? You didn't eat lunch? Here, did not. So this is still expressing surprise. We still see this you didn't do something with the emphasis marks at the end. This expresses surprise, but there's no chance. So remember, didn't, simple past tense, meaning the action started and ended in the past. This implies that the speaker did not eat lunch, and now there is no chance for the speaker to eat lunch. Maybe it's 8 o'clock at night, for example. There's no more feasible period of time for lunch. Lunch is finished. So you didn't eat lunch, simple past, no chance for lunch to happen. So these are very similar questions, and you might hear any one of these at work or when meeting a friend, but there are some very subtle differences in nuance here. So keep these in mind when you're using and when you're listening for yet and already. I hope this lesson was useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to try to make a sentence, feel free in the comment section below this video. If you like the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com. Thanks very much for watching this episode on Yet and Already, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.